guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have something very exciting to share with you. So I am going to discuss my birth story. I have had a lot of questions for people wanting to know exactly what happened. I'm just really excited that I'm finally going to share everything with you.
About me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
So I'm not going to only just share with you what happened when I went into active labour, but I'm also going to share with you what happened beforehand and how I naturally induced myself to go into labour and avoided a C-section. So I'm going to start by sharing with you what happened in my first pregnancy, because I think this is so crucial for you guys to be aware of what happened first time around, because this is my second pregnancy that I'm going to discuss with you in a lot more detail. So first time around I had my beautiful baby girl Ava. Basically I had the most traumatic labour anyone could have imagined for their first time being pregnant. I had reduced fetal movement. I'd just panic straight away and be like, oh, I've not felt her move today. I need to go and get checked or just speak to a midwife. And that's basically what happened. So I had gone to triage at the hospital and basically, obviously because I said I hadn't felt Ava move, they classed it as reduced fetal movement. And bearing in mind it was around 30 degrees at this point, it was so hot, and I clearly was not drinking enough water. So I was actually dehydrated. So instead of drinking lots of water and seeing if I could feel Ava move, I panicked and I went straight to hospital. I was over 40 weeks at this point, so that's why I was probably a bit more overly panicky, thinking, why is my baby girl not here yet? I went into hospital and basically at that point they monitored Ava and said to me that come back tomorrow and we'll review you and see how you're doing, and if things are still feeling the same then we'll discuss an induction plan. Bearing in mind I did have a brief understanding of what an induction was, and I knew that you have certain steps to follow, and basically it's sort of artificially trying to create the contractions for you to have your baby. And I was like, yeah, like that sounds cool. If I'd rather my baby be healthy and have no issues with my actual delivery process and have an induction. So I went back in the next day and Ava's movement was the same. Bearing in mind obviously she's now full term, so the movement already does get reduced compared to what you're feeling before. So instead of feeling like all the sort of kicks and prods and all that kind of stuff, and the movements, the big movements, after 40 weeks you tend to feel more just the odd bulges out, and just the movement changes, which no one had actually explained to me. So obviously there's me, second day at the hospital, and now I'm just like, okay, I'll have a sweep, because they offered me a sweep. That's step one of an induction. I had 2 sweeps and nothing had happened. So then when I came back on the 3rd day, they basically gave me another sweep, and which is the most awful thing ever, guys. I don't know why I was so willing to just let them do whatever they had to do. But yeah, and they basically said to me, you're coming into hospital now and you'll be staying here until the baby's born. And I was like, do you know what, that's fine, as long as my baby's healthy I do not mind. I came into hospital, had a pessarine, which was step 1 of the induction. Pessarine basically is like a tampon which they insert, and it releases prostaglandins, which basically helps your contractions come along. So I was like, okay, cool, that's fine, whatever. And bearing in mind it's so hot at this point in the hospital also, so it was just such a rubbish experience. And the pessarine didn't do much. I was having like the odd contractions in the evening, and it wasn't really doing a lot. So then the next day, after 24 hours had passed, they were like, okay, cool, we will be taking you down into the labour ward so that you can have your waters broken, because you've now gone over the 24 hours. So Saturday morning I go into the labour ward and have my waters broken. After having my waters broken I did have a lot more contractions and things were progressing quite nicely. However, after 4 hours things slowed down again, and the midwife was like, okay, so at this point now we will be putting the drip on you, the hormone drip. And I was like, okay, cool, like that shouldn't be really much of a big deal. Oh my goodness, the minute the hormone drip went on, it was like someone was killing me. And honestly, I wish they had just said, if you're gonna have the hormone drip, have the epidural at the same time. I was screaming down for the epidural, and bearing in mind that took like 20 minutes. It felt like 20 minutes to half an hour. I don't know exactly how long it was, but I had that. And the first time they tried to give me the epidural, they missed, and I didn't care at this point. I was like, whatever, I don't care. And then they tried again, and it worked, and it was doing magic. Like, it literally got rid of all the pain, and it worked as an epidural is supposed to work. They checked how, like, obviously how many centimeters I was dilated, and things were just progressing really, really slowly, basically. And because I was obviously thinking, why is it taking so long, I allowed several internal examinations to see how much I had dilated. Bearing in mind, the midwives are not even warning me, like, you know, if you're having too many internal examinations, you could be at risk of becoming septic. So there's me like, okay, yeah, go on, do whatever you've got to do. I became septic, so that was not fun. I was not feeling well at all. I had a temperature. I was drained by being in this process for the past 3 days. And when it came down to the actual part of my, I would say the push part, I basically was told that I was 8 centimeters at like 10 o'clock at night now, and up until 1 a.m. in the morning nothing had changed. And what had happened was the midwife actually reduced my drip. I was like, why would you do that? I was so close to, you know, getting to the 10 centimeter mark. Another 4 hours have passed, nothing's happened, and it was just shambles. Like, everything was just shambles. And then the consultant comes in and she's like, why has this girl not delivered yet? She's been here since 7 a.m. in the morning. Like, this is just not right. Like, she has been induced, the baby should be here by now. Bearing in mind, if you have an induction and if you have the hormone drip, the baby should come within 7 to 8 hours afterwards. So if something is not happening within that period, make sure you raise the alarm. Like, seriously guys, do not endure what I did. Anyway, so then afterwards it came to the time to push, and at that point when the consultant checked, because now the consultant's now intervening, because she's just like, okay, things need to progress, this girl needs to have a baby, the baby's going to be going through so much stress during this whole process. So she checked, and Ava's head was sunny side up, so she was facing upwards, which isn't the ideal way for a baby to come down the canal. So basically at this point I probably had like 10 people in the room telling me that they're gonna do, basically they first tried to turn the baby, then they did a vacuum, that didn't work, and then in the end it was a forceps delivery with an episiotomy, which was just not fun at all. So then at this point I've had obviously the forceps and an episiotomy, and it was just not fun. I don't even remember the cord being cut. I did request for delayed cord clamping, that didn't happen. I wanted immediate skin to skin, that didn't happen because they had to take the baby and check Ava was okay, and also put her antibiotics. The pediatrician took her straight away, and I didn't see my baby for like probably around 40 minutes. And when you're wanting to breastfeed, it is so important to have that immediate skin to skin so that the oxytocin flows. So literally it was just not fun. Like, the whole thing was not fun. Plus I ended up staying in hospital for like another 7 days afterwards because of the fact that I became septic. Hence Ava had become septic as well. Well, not septic, she had an infection. And with the fact that they missed with the epidural, I also had a lumbar puncture. So the next day I was in the most agony ever with a banging headache. I could not lift my head, got taken down into theatre and had a blood patch, and literally it was just awful. The whole experience was just awful. And so this time around, basically, let's skip to baby number 2. This time around I knew I did not want an induction, and I made sure that I looked into everything to basically not have an induction. Like, I just did not want an induction. So from day one, I said to my midwife, do whatever you need to do. If I need to have a C-section, I will have a C-section, but I am not going to have an induction. So I had gestational diabetes during this pregnancy, and because it was diet controlled, I wasn't classed as high risk completely. I was still classed as low risk. So I wanted to have my water birth, like that's what I wanted to have. And if not a water birth, just a natural delivery, that's what I wanted. I did not want to be induced. I had said to the doctors that I'd rather have a C-section, you know, I don't want to be induced. So I am now over 40 weeks, and because of the gestational diabetes, I get called in by the consultant to basically say, they were trying to convince me to have an induction, and I allowed them to give me an internal examination at this point to see what was going on with my cervix, and if things were progressing, like if anything was happening, where baby's head was, etc. So I was fully engaged. However, my cervix was posterior and I hadn't dilated. Basically, I was just 1 centimeter dilated. I did have Braxton Hicks probably a week or two before being 40 weeks, so around 38 weeks. My body was getting ready. It wasn't there yet, but it was getting ready. And basically at this appointment, that's what they said, and they said to me that we would like you to come back on Wednesday for an induction. And I was like, no, I am not having an induction. My baby is fine, my baby is healthy, my baby is moving. I feel fine and I do not want to have an induction at this point. Biggest point I have to say to you guys at this moment in time is, please remember you are in control of exactly what you want. Unless there's a risk involved in terms of something medically related, you can control what you want. So if you get told now it's time for an induction because this is what the protocol says, refuse it. Refuse it. If you feel within your body that you are fine, your baby is fine, refuse it. Do not opt for an induction when they say, now we'd like to give you an induction. That is their protocol. If you pass a certain time, especially if you have GDM, they will be like, okay, now protocol kicks in, this is the steps that we need to follow. However, remember, your body has grown this baby over the past 9 months. Your body knows when it needs to deliver this baby, and your baby will come when your baby is ready to come. Like, that is it. So even if you're thinking, oh, but my due date was this, it does not mean anything. Like, your due date is your due date. However, your baby will come when your baby is ready. A due date has just been put there in place for keeping account of what is happening with your body up until this point. However, when your body's ready for it, that's when your baby will come. So I was like, no, I don't want an induction. I'll come back on Wednesday and we can discuss all over again. So now I'm thinking, okay, you need to start doing stuff to help basically the process begin. And at that first meeting on the Monday, I requested a sweep. I said to myself I would have only one sweep if I needed to basically trigger anything that needed to happen, and that was all I was going to have. So I had the sweep, and that did trigger something because later on the Monday I started having surges. Now, why I'm now referring to surges is because during this pregnancy I took part in the Positive Birth Company, the MP3 and the videos and stuff like that. Basically I took part in hypnobirthing, and even the first time around I did hypnobirthing, it was a different form of hypnobirthing. And this course that I did, honestly, I will highly recommend it. I'll put the link in the description, but I'll also show you what it is. And basically that was amazing, just for your mentality and just for preparing you and giving you awareness and knowledge of everything that you should be expecting to happen with your body, and things that can happen, things that won't happen. Everyone's body is different, and it's just an education process, which was just amazing. And the biggest part of the whole course package which helped me was the MP3s with the positive birth affirmations and just sort of relaxation techniques and breathing techniques and stuff like that, which was really, really helpful. So I absolutely recommend the course. It was like £35 or £39 or something like that. Fully recommend it. I'd also recommend the Freya app, which goes alongside with that course, because when you're going through your surges, you can monitor it. You can have this lovely background music on, and also positive affirmations, or the MP3s, you can have them playing in the background. So it just gives you a really nice setting, like a really good mood setting. And also it will guide you with your breathing when you do have your surges, which is so, so important to help you sort of deal with the pain naturally, which you can, honestly. Yeah, like around 10-11 o'clock in the evening, on the Monday I started getting surges, and I had the bloody show. Like I had my mucus plug, and so I was like, okay, look, this is my body saying it's getting ready, because the mucus plug is basically positioned in a place which, once it's released, it means your cervix, your uterus is moving and changing to allow for the baby to come. So that's when your mucus plug gets released. And sometimes it comes in little bits, sometimes it doesn't come for some people, and sometimes it comes in one big clump. For me, it was little bits, and you can just tell, because it's just, it's not something that you're familiar with basically down there. So yeah, I had that, and I was like, okay, so my body's getting ready, and I was like, okay, let's just take this in. I was drinking lots of raspberry tea. Basically I was living off that. So I was brewing it really strong and then just having that all day long. I was doing my squats, my walking up and down the stairs. I was keeping quite mobile, and the surges were getting stronger. I was eating spicy food, that I think was helping with the whole process. And then on Tuesday, the surges got stronger. They were still not frequent. They were not regular. The surges were not regular, but they were occurring and they were getting stronger. They'll calm down. So these are all signs that your body's getting ready for it. So on Wednesday when I went in, okay, wow, like I am having my surges. They're not regular yet. However, they are happening, and when they monitored me and the baby, they could actually see on the monitor that I was getting my surges. They could see the peaks. They were good, strong surges. They just were not regular. So everything's looking really positive at this point. Then the consultant, she checks me again internally, and just to see what's happening with my cervix, because they were getting stronger. So there was hope that there was something happening with the cervix, whether it was dilating a little bit or not. And I got told that your cervix is not viable, it's not changed. Basically it was just a lot of negative words being thrown at me, and that makes you really feel down. Like it really gets to you when someone's saying that your body is not doing what it should be doing. And I was like, okay, so why am I going through this pain? Like, because my surges were strong. They were strong. I was feeling the pain. I was dealing with this since Monday evening, on and off. Bearing in mind, you're trying to sleep, you can't sleep. So then I was like, okay, I need to try something else. What else can I try to naturally induce myself? So I had prune juice, and that was not fun. Like, I was in the bathroom, because they say that if you irritate your bowel movements, it can help with your surges. And I was like, okay, let's give this a go. And honestly, it didn't really do anything besides just give me really bad bathroom issues. And literally my niece who was with me, she was like, your stomach is making the most random gutter noises, like seriously. that happened all day and it didn't do anything. I was still obviously drinking my raspberry tea, and at this point they say to you, like, you know, the other thing that you can do is have sex. And I was like, no, I really don't feel like it. I'm sorry, not in the way that I'm feeling right now. Like, you just don't feel comfortable for it. Like, do you know what I mean? So I was like, no, I don't want to. And then later on that day, I was like, do you know what? Do what we gotta do. Like, let's just try it. Because more prostaglandins released, which will mean something will go on with my cervix. And yeah, so that happened. Nothing happened. The Conjury actually happened, like all of Wednesday night, completely no surges at all. All of Thursday, no surges at all. And I'm thinking, okay, my body is just flipped. Like, it was actually starting to do something, and then it's now gone to the total opposite, and nothing's happening at all. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, it is what it is. I am going to be having a C-section because I don't want an induction, and on Friday morning I had to go back into the hospital. So I went back on Friday, and the consultant was like, I didn't want any more checks. So I was like, no, you don't need to check me, nothing's happening. They did offer me another sweep, and obviously they were pushing to have an induction that same day. And I was like, nope. They also said to me that this is something, if you do go down the route of having an induction, you can request this. So you can have an outpatient pessarine insertion. So you don't need to actually stay in hospital. You can come back after the 24 hours. Because I was like, I don't want to stay in the hospital. I have a 2.5-year-old at home. I do not want to be away from her unless I'm in labour. Like, I just don't want to be away from her. Which I didn't know you could have first time around. I did not know that I didn't have to stay in hospital. But obviously that was their protocol, and I had requested to go against the protocol this time around. So they were obviously throwing me all these things that you can do this, you can do this. But I said no to that, because the catch in that is, if you have the pessarine and you don't progress after the 24 hours, you have to get your waters broken, and you have to go down the route of having an induction with the drip, which I didn't want. So even though they were trying to convince me with, oh, you don't have to stay in hospital, you can go home, I was like, no, because there's a catch to it at the end. Because if nothing happens, if my body's not ready, then you will be wanting to you will want to put a drip on me, which I don't want. So I was like, I'm not leaving today until we have a plan in place. And the plan is going to be either one of two. If I naturally come into labour and I don't progress, I do not want any intervention. I want to go straight for a C-section, because I don't want a drip, because they class you not progressing as, okay, time to give you the drip to bring on the contractions. And I was like, nope, not happening. So they booked me for an elective C-section for the Monday. Now, obviously the upside of having an elective C-section is you can mentally prepare yourself. I was mentally preparing myself for the C-section. However, at the same time, the fact that I was more worried about the post C-section, where not being able to lift my daughter, or being like full on sort of how I am with her, active with her, playing with her, etc. All those things would have been affected. I truly did not want a C-section. I just did not want it, but I had prepared myself because I didn't want an induction either. So I was like, if my body's not ready and I have to do something, I will rather have an elective C-section. So then on Friday, after I'd come home, I was like, this is just shit. Like, you prepare yourself mentally for all these things and things don't turn out how you want them to. And especially when you've already gone through 3 days of having surges, feeling like things are progressing, and then everything just shuts off, and you just think, what is happening? Like, what is going on with your body? Like, what more do you need to try? So then on the Friday, I was like, do you know what does this actually mean, like, with the whole posterior cervix situation? Like, if I'm fully engaged, why is things not happening? So basically at this point I was like, okay, cool, let me do my own research. I just want to have more knowledge in this. So women, I fully recommend this to you guys as well. Like, if there's something you are unsure about, look into why that happens and try and understand why your body's behaving in that way. So I looked into it, and basically it just meant that the way the baby's head was inside the cervix, it wasn't actually in a position which, even though the head was fully engaged, it wasn't in a position where the head was actually touching the lining of the cervix, which is the area which allows you to body to naturally bring on the release of the oxytocin and have basically the surges and stuff happen, like the natural process of stuff. So then I was like, okay, is there any way that I can just do any form of exercise to help reposition the head? Because that's basically what it's coming down to, right? Like, my body's getting ready, but because the connection isn't happening with the head and the cervix, because the top of the baby's head is what releases the oxytocin and the other hormones. I'm not going to go into the science of it because I don't know fully myself, but just stuff that I was reading, that's what it was saying to me. So then I was like, okay, let's see what I can do in terms of exercise to help me with that process. And I found this doula on YouTube, and honestly, I cannot thank God enough for letting me find her on YouTube, because obviously when you search stuff, so many different things come up. I'm going to put her clip that I watched in the description so you guys know. The name of the YouTube channel is Harvest Moon Nights, and it was the Miles Circuit, and that's what it was called, the Miles Circuit. And it was created by another doula who had basically put this into place, and it was to help reposition the head. So this was literally what I was looking for, and I was like, wow, this is insane. I looked at all of her playlists for the natural induction, and seriously, she is a godsend, so thank God for her. And it was a series, an episode, of 3 positions that you had to do. The first one helps you sort of bring out the baby's head slightly from the pelvis. So you're still engaged, but it just slightly moves it, so it allows the baby's head to reshift and hopefully get the position correct so that you can basically get the head and the cervix alignment correct. So there are 3 exercises, 30 minutes long, which I did, and I actually fell asleep on the second one. So I did the third one after I'd woken up, because I finally felt so comfortable, because I did not realise, because also the pain down there, like in my pelvic bone area, maybe that was, I was feeling so much pain and discomfort because the head was also not aligned correctly, I don't know. But that day when I did the exercise, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a nap, because the second exercise you actually are lying down. So I was like, okay, let me do this, and I fell asleep, and I kid you not, I must have slept for like, I think 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I had the best nap of my life. Like, I woke up and I felt so relaxed. My body, my hip, pelvic area, everything felt amazing. I was like, this feels so good. Like, I finally feel comfortable. And I remember saying to my mum and my husband that I have not slept like this in days. Like, I feel so relaxed. And then I did the last exercise, which obviously wasn't, I didn't do it within the timing that I was supposed to, but I still did the second and the third exercise. I'd eaten, and then I was playing with Ava and I was doing my lunges or whatever it was. And I remember getting a few surges, but I was like, whatever, I'm just not falling for that anymore. I'm not going to get hyped the fact that I'm getting surges again. And they were probably getting stronger, but I was just like, whatever. I was just ignoring it. And I was like, I'm not falling for this, whatever. And it was probably getting to around like 10 o'clock at night, and I remember having a conversation with my mom saying, and the other thing that I had did the prostaglandin stuff with my husband, and I think the combination of the two and going to sleep feeling fully relaxed, 3 things that really contributed to what happened next. So it was around 10 o'clock. So I remember around like 10 o'clock that evening, I was like to my mum, I've done everything that I could possibly think of. Besides eating dates, that's the one thing I hadn't done. And pineapples, I was like, I did that first time around, it did nothing. So I was like, the only thing I haven't done is eaten dates and drank castor oil. But then I was like to mum, tomorrow, the last thing that I'm going to do is try and drink castor oil first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, and let's just see if that does it. Otherwise, Monday it is, we know what's going to happen on Monday, we know that we're having an elective C. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I remember like searching for a castor oil bottle in the house at 10 o'clock, still having these surges which were irregular, but just not being fazed by it at all. And then around 11 o'clock, me and my husband were like just cracking jokes or whatever in the bedroom or whatever, and we were just literally just having like this random conversation. God knows what it was even about, I don't remember no more. But I was just like to him, I need to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, and I remember just sitting there peeing, and out of nowhere a massive gush of water just came out of me, and I could not stop laughing. Like, I was in hysterics at this point, because I was like, was that my waters? Like, did that just actually happen? And I was saying I was shouting to my husband, I was like, I think my waters just broke. He just went into full-on panic mode, literally full-on panic mode. And he was like, did it really happen? Did it really happen? I was like, I'm not even joking. Like, it was just like a bucket just got released from within me. Luckily, I was sitting on the toilet seat at this point, so it hadn't literally gone anywhere. And then I remember someone saying to me actually that when your waters break, you can't control like the fallout of the water. So another way to sort of just check if it was your waters is if you stand up and just bounce, you'll just have water falling, which you can't control. So I did that, and it was happening. So I was having this water fallout, and literally I just couldn't stop laughing. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I had like a massive increase in oxytocin in my body or whatever. I literally was in hysterics. And my husband, he was like, shit, and then he's on the phone to the hospital at this point saying, you know, this is what's just happened with my wife, do you want us to come in, X, Y and Z. And I was just like, I'm glad he's taken charge and is doing all of this stuff, because a couple of days ago he wouldn't have had a clue to even do that, because he didn't even know what number to call, bless him. So I was like, okay, so he knows what he's doing. He's calling the hospital, and my mom comes in, and she's in panic mode as well. Like, they're both in panic mode. And I was like, I just put hair oil in my hair at dinner time. I need to wash this out of my hair before I go into the hospital. Like, I'm not having my baby with greasy hair. So there's me just casually jumping into the shower, both of them two panicking outside, thinking, surely we should be going. Like, should we not be going to the hospital at this point? And I was just having like this really chilled, relaxed shower, washed my hair, came out, and then I was like, I need the hairdryer, guys, can you go and find the hairdryer for me? Bearing in mind Ava was sleeping throughout this whole process. So then there's me like drying my hair or whatever. Both of them are still panicking, and I was like, just load the car. Our suitcase actually was already in the car, to be honest, because the whole week we were like, okay, it's happening, it's not happening, it's happening, it's not happening. So I was like, the handbag, just take that into the car, make sure you've got our snacks in there, because that's what I really want, because I was actually really hungry. Around like 11 o'clock every evening was my time to have my cereal. So I was like, make sure you've got food, because I'm actually really hungry. We leave for the hospital, we're just really excited, like, can't believe this is happening. And I went into triage to get checked, because that's what you've kind of got to do. So I went in, and I had the most nicest midwife checking me at this point, and we were just talking about like what had happened before. I was getting surges, but I could still talk through them, like they were not full on at this point at all. And I was telling her about my first time experience, and just saying to her, like, I really don't want to be, I'm not being induced, and I want a water bath, like this is what I want to have. And she was like, don't worry, it's gonna happen for you, X, Y and Z. And then when she checked me, I was only 2 centimeters dilated. Whoop-de-doo, like that's nothing. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go home now. And the worst thing you can keep doing is going back and forth from the hospital, because every time you go to the hospital, things calm down, and then things will pick up again. But then that pickup time can be different for every single person. So I was like, oh shit, they're gonna send me home now. And she was like, do you want to go up to the birth centre? I was like, yes, please, if there's a room, can I just go up there and just see what happens? If nothing happens, then I'll go home. And she was like, let me just check. Luckily, there was space, and she was like, just go up to the birth centre. And basically, midwife took me. My husband could come up as well at this point, and when we walked into the room, like the room that we had, I'm not even kidding you, like it was like being in a hotel room. There was such nice mood, lighting, there were stars in the ceiling, like the lights, there was a humongous jacuzzi bathtub, and basically all the gear that you would need for the whole getting yourself through the surges in the beginning half. One of the other things that I had become aware of through like my whole research stuff and also talking to other mums was that do not get into the water bath too soon, because if you get in there too soon, it can actually relax you, but then, which is good, like you want your body to be relaxed, so then the good hormones are being released. However, it can also slow down your contractions. So I was like adamant that I do want a water bath. However, I want to get into the water as late as possible. My midwife at this point, she was so nice. She literally just sat down with us in the beginning and said to us, what do you want? Like, what would you like your birth to be, and what do you want after your baby's here? So I told her everything. She fully listened to me, listened to my husband's wishes as well, and I was just glad that somebody's actually listening to what I want. And she didn't even look at my medical notes, and I was glad that she didn't, because she was actually listening to what I wanted and what my husband was saying to her, and basically what I'd voiced to him as well. And she just helped get like the room set up and everything. And bearing in mind now it's like 12 o'clock, coming to 12 o'clock at night, and my surges had gone up like a whole another level, but they still were not 3 and 10. So I was like, okay, whatever, like my cervix is probably not dilated yet. But I knew the picture I had in my mind because I had seen cervix that were fully dilated, Google images, and literally I was just like, okay, that's what I need to have, like that's what I need to have a water bath. And I think the fact that I was visualizing that throughout was somehow helping my body to let that happen naturally. I stayed active throughout the first couple of hours. I was literally on the ball, I was over the chair, I was moving, I was squatting, I was doing everything I could. The pain was, the surges were getting stronger, and bearing in mind, like both me and my husband are thinking to ourselves, hopefully this doesn't go on for hours on end, because both of us were so tired. And I had the Diamorphine this time right at the beginning. So previously I hadn't had the Diamorphine injection, because I was told that if you have the Diamorphine injection, your baby's going to come out sleepy, and which I didn't want. And no one had actually explained to me that if you have it early on, like in your early stages of labour, the drug will actually wear off, so it doesn't pass through the placenta and your baby won't be affected by it. So this time around I was like, okay, absolutely I want that, because if I can't handle the pain, I'm not going to just shout for the epidural, because if I do, then I can't have a water bath. So I had the Diamorphine injection, and I'm not even joking, that in combination with the gas and air, I felt like I was on a whole another level of, like, I was just dazed. I didn't have no idea what was going on, in terms of just felt really floppy and wanting to sleep. Like I literally just wanted to sleep. But in my head I kept saying to myself, okay, remember what happened the past 2 times you were having these kind of surges and you went to sleep? They stopped happening. So I was like, okay, I can't go to sleep, I've got to fight through this. and I kept staying active. I was like on the birthing ball. That was like my comfort zone, kneeling on the floor, hands over the birthing ball. And I was like, I need to get through this, I need to get through this. I was like to my husband, just have like an hour nap, you can do it. Because I need your strength afterwards if this goes on for too long. And then the diamorphine was wearing off, and I was like to my midwife, I called her and I was like, I need to get into the water bath because I'm in so much pain now, but I don't want another diamorphine right now, because you can only have 2 diamorphine injections and they tend to last 2 hours each. So I was like, if this is going to go on really long, I'm going to be screwed because I won't have no other form of pain relief. So then I was like, okay, time to get into the water bath. She set everything up for me. My surges were getting stronger and stronger, and it was coming to around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, shit, they're getting so strong, which is amazing. That's what I want. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I was like to my husband, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is so painful. So I was in the water bath and having gas and air. My noises that I was making from like breathing in and out to releasing the pain, which was all R bass noises, went into whale noises. Like the pain was like a whole nother level. And I was like to myself, I can't do this, I can't do this. I was trying to like take the gas and air to help like the pain, and also being in the water, it does help, but it's like you want someone to just squeeze your stomach for you, but you obviously can't. And your back's also aching as well. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then out of nowhere, the midwife was like, well, I got told this afterwards as well. She was obviously communicating to me, but everything was just a haze to me. She had checked with a mirror to see how, because I told her that I don't want any internal examinations, because from the point your waters break, if you keep having internal examinations, you're at a higher risk of becoming septic. And last time I was like, yeah, go check. This time I was like, no, I don't want anything happening, nothing being checked. And so yeah, she looked with a mirror and she could see the head crowning, and me and my husband were like, what? So it's happening, like it's happening. And then at the same time I'm like, I can't do this, and then it was just like a back and forth, and it felt like it went so quickly, but at the same time the pain felt like it was just never ending, if that makes any sense. And then you do, because this time I could feel everything. Last time I couldn't feel anything because of the epidural, but you feel like you want to go for your biggest poo of your life. Like, I'm not even joking, that is the feeling that you have. And it is incredible like how your body is doing this whole shift and making space, and your pelvic sort of bones moving or whatever. And like I could feel the baby come down the canal. My midwife was amazing at the fact that she was constantly guiding me at when to breathe, how to breathe, and when to stop pushing, even though you get the urge to push, and to slowly do the whole process. And because of that, and because of her, I ended up giving birth to my baby boy without having any tears or any stitches, because I was guided in the correct way, as you're supposed to, during that process, so that when your muscles are stretching, they don't stretch too quickly, and it's not like a painful push, if that makes sense. So you're not tearing anything. And that whole guidance from her, like, she was just amazing. There was like 2 other midwives that were there too, and one was a student, and I was fully fine with that. And literally it was just amazing. They recorded the whole thing for us, like requested, and literally when Kian came, and how the midwife just passed him under my legs and he literally swam, I was like, my husband panicked thinking, oh my god, is he gonna breathe? Like, is this even okay to do? I was like, I can't believe this is my baby. Like, it was just such a high feeling. Like, you just feel incredible. Like, you can't imagine like how the fact that you've just gone through this, you've done this, and you've got your baby, and it's just an incredible feeling, like an incredible rush of amazing hormones, and like it's just such a like positive feeling that you get at that moment. Like, you feel like such a big accomplishment. And they listened to all of our wishes. We did like delayed cord clamping, we had the vitamin K injection, we had immediate skin to skin, both me and my husband, and like everything was amazing, like even afterwards. And honestly, I feel like the whole process was the way it was because of the fact that I kept educating myself on what to look out for, what to do, and doing the Positive Birth Company's course. That really helped. The whole hypnobirthing really helped, and also knowing what I didn't want. So that was the biggest thing. I think knowing what I didn't want to go through helped create this mindset that I had, and visualizing what I wanted, and it all led to this really great positive birth in the end. And I'm so grateful. And one of the things that I really wanted to do was share this video with you guys, because I got told a lot of birth stories, and I was asking a lot of people who had had babies about what their experience was, and it wasn't so that I could be like, oh, I want this one, I don't want that one, I don't want that, I don't want that. It was more about knowing everything and being aware of everything, and also the postpartum side of things. Like the first time left me with bowel incontinence. It left me with obviously not just general urine incontinence, and it's an awful type of recovery to go through. So being aware of all of these things, I knew exactly what I wanted and what I didn't want. And yeah, I'm just glad that I've been able to share this with you guys, and I hope things that I did to naturally induce my labour really helps you guys. And honestly, I would love to know of your stories, and also if you are going to be a second time mum or a first time mummy and you use any of these tips, please do comment below or share with me. And it's just nice. I feel like it's a really positive way to empower women and empower each other. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I can't wait to hear your stories. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.